District 9 was directed by Neill Blomkamp and produced by Peter Jackson and written by Blomkamp and Terry Tatchell. And this is a brand new camera this is being filmed on. As you can probably tell, it's a lot clearer, it looks a lot more cleaner, the image behind me, and of course me. And the audio hopefully is better too. That'll should be seen. But without further ado, let's talk more about this film. Now, 11 years ago when this movie came out, it was sort of a blip on my radar, which makes sense because I didn't know I was anticipating something like this. I was just kind of into the bigger blockbuster movies at the time, and this one just sort of slipped past me. Then in 2010, early 2010, when the Oscar nominations came out and it was nominated for Best Picture, suddenly it was on everybody's radar. I got the film and I actually got a chance to see it then, and unfortunately I couldn't see this one in theaters, but I was watching it on the DVD after the Best Picture announcement. And I kept thinking to myself, wow, this is a really great movie. And over the years, I have tried to see if that opinion ever changed, if I went back on it, if I look back and said, maybe this wasn't that good a film. But even after 11 years, it's a film that I keep going back to, and it's a film that I really, really love. And it's actually one of my favorite science fiction movies, and one that I've continually recommended to people every chance that I've gotten, especially when it first came out and when it did actually drop on DVD. I must have told every friend within like a 10-mile radius, like, go see this film or buy the movie or do whatever, just see the movie, please. And then people saw the movie and some of them really loved it, and then a couple of them came back to me saying, this movie sucks, what's wrong with you? This movie takes place in Johannesburg, South Africa, where an alien ship is suddenly hovering over the city out of nowhere. There's no one coming in and out of the ship. It's just there. And then eventually humans break in to see what's going on inside, and of course they find a million different aliens over there, and all the aliens eventually come and reside in this area right below the ship, which eventually becomes known as District 9. It's this slum-like area for basically just the aliens, and after 20 years people are starting to get fed up of it because the aliens aren't always in containment, and when they get out they cause some havoc, and then there's a lot of fighting and protests because of it. And eventually they've decided enough is enough. They have to go, or they have to be taken to an area which is not interfering with our personal lives. So Multinational United, a company, comes in, and a project headed by Wikus van der Merwe, played by Charlton Copley, is initiated, which will basically have all the aliens evicted and taken to another place. They go into District 9, and while over there, while they're getting all the aliens evicted, Wikus runs into an alien who happens to have a weird substance. He gets infected with this thing, and he himself starts to turn into an alien, which is $1 billion thing for the company because they've been trying to get alien weaponry working for the longest time, and he might be the key to human alien DNA splicing together to actually make that happen. But of course, that's not how things eventually go. Now in 2006, Neill Blomkamp made a short film called Alive in Joburg, and that film essentially is the basis for everything that you see in District 9. That film really set everybody down that path, and that's the film that got noticed, and eventually it led to this enormous backing where it became a feature-length 2-hour movie, one that eventually, got the Best Picture nomination. And this film is really great. I mean, it's one of the more unique science fiction films. It's like a mockumentary in a sense because it starts off like a documentary. It's like the ship came to a stop and you have all these different scientists and commentators who are talking about it and the mystery surrounding the area and the secrets in District 9. And then you keep going back and forth between them and the MNU and Wikus heading his mission. And eventually, as the film kicks into second half and you get more into the story about Wikus trying to get out alive and basically get rid of these the alien DNA within him, as he's turning more and more into one of them, with his hand turning first and then crawling up the side of his arm. Once that happens, it becomes more like a movie, and the mockumentary feature really takes a step back, which is fluidly done. Neill Blomkamp directed this film beautifully. Ever since then, he's directed a couple of other movies, and they've not been as good, but his direction skills are pretty great. And District 9 really proved that. In the action sequences and the more dramatic sequences, he created a really compelling movie. This is a film that I have such a hard time finding fault in because so much of it is perfectly paced, written, edited, directed, and acted. Charlton Copley did a brilliant job with this film, and it's been nice seeing him in projects ever since. I hope he's in more projects, in fact. Sometimes I don't see him in enough projects, and that upsets me. but he's a phenomenal actor. He's one of the best we have. But also really good is Jason Cope, who plays Christopher Johnson, the alien that Wickus eventually starts a partnership with, who might be able to help his problem. And this alien is so wonderfully done. The visual effects by Weta are phenomenal. Peter Jackson, of course, came in here and really gave Blomkamp a helping hand, because the photorealism of this movie is insane. I was having a hard time in many scenes, even like thinking, oh, that's actually CGI, because so much of it looks so real and everything about it looks so lived in and authentic. That's another thing about this movie that I really like. It really establishes the world that this is in. Of course, it's present day Johannesburg, but even the way it captures Johannesburg, and it captures a lot of the District 9 stuff and everything that's going on over there, the way this film really showcases the entire world that this movie takes place in is phenomenal. It really throws you into it. It really gives you this feeling of how aliens have just become this absolute menace to society, how humans don't want them around anywhere. There's a lot of racial and social commentary that stems in the movie because of it, which is really poignant and very well handled. It just reminds me of, actually, side note, a paper that I wrote in a while back, and it was about this exact topic. Now, of course, I wasn't fully skilled at the time. I didn't have a YouTube channel, so obviously I probably wasn't the most the best at bringing my ideas forward, but I definitely tried, and I always thought if I do a review I'll talk more about it. But yes, this film deals with themes of apartheid. It deals with just casual racism. The aliens are called prawns because, as one person says in the movie, I mean, what else do you want me to say? They look like prawns. So there's also that, and that continues on throughout the film, and it definitely comes off as, you know, you can tell what the commentary is. You can tell how this is definitely going in for the social construct of how they're inferior, which is interesting also because normally when you have a film which has aliens in it, it's always the other way around. It's always like, oh, they're the superior beings, they know more than us, and they have all this amazing stuff. But here it's like, yeah, we don't like you. We don't want you here. You don't belong here. And that I thought was really interesting. It was a very interesting change in dynamic, and it really added to the film and the way the humans and the aliens interacted with one another. I think they did a really good job with that. And a lot of that is due to the writing. This is such a smart screenplay. There is not a beat missed here, but first of all, but second of all, there's nothing left to chance. It tells a story from start to finish while also setting up the fact that the mockumentary stuff is taking place after the film. So the story is already known to the characters that are appearing in the interviewing clips. So you know that this did not end well. You know that Wickus turned into an alien by the end of the movie. You know this. And you know that because it's foreshadowed throughout the film. It's like, you think these things wouldn't happen to your kid, and I mean, he was such a good person, and, you know, learn from what has happened. And so you know where it's headed. But the film does such a good job taking you towards that conclusion and also making it heartbreaking at the same time. On second viewing, of course, you know where this is going to go because, you know, the dialogue sets it up the way it is. But when you watch it a second time, it hits a lot more, and you find a lot more of those nuances that you probably missed the first time. In fact, this is very much a second viewing movie. You can't watch this film and say, all right, I'm done in one viewing. You'll have to go back to it again. In fact, in my case, I watched the film, and within the second day, just on the second day after watching this film, I was back to watching it again. I had to rewatch it from start to finish, and I did. And I've seen it multiple times since. The film was recently remastered in 4K, so you can watch it in that format now, and I just did, and it looks absolutely stunning. And once again, I was just absolutely mesmerized by this movie. When it starts, it just grabs you and it doesn't let go, which is one of the highlights of any film, if it can just grab your attention from the very first moment. Also really great in this movie, which I find extremely underrated, is the score. Clinton Shorter did the score for this. He's also done scores for shows like The Expanse. I think this is one of the more overlooked aspects of the film. This is actually a really good score, and I'm surprised a lot more people didn't talk about it. There's a few themes in particular that really stand out. If you go on Spotify, YouTube, or whatever it is, search for the track Wickus is Still Running. It's like 3 minutes long, and it's so well done. really worth your time if you have a few minutes. Just really listen to it and really get into it. There's not a lot I can say about District 9 that hasn't already been said. It's a film, like I said, that's 11 years old, but it's a film that I have always respected. It's a film that I've always loved. It's a film that I will always love. And again, I will get a chance to recommend it to people as much as I can. And if you've not seen it, don't go off of what I'm saying. Just because I've said what happens in the film and how it concludes, don't worry about all that. Just go watch the film. There's a lot I haven't said in this review yet, and I would rather not also, so that you don't know some of the other details about the film and other plot points. But overall, District 9 remains, like I said, one of my favorite science fiction movies. It's one of my favorites in the last many years, and it really deserves to be up there. I'm gonna give District 9 a 10 out of 10. It is unfortunate that all the other films by Blomkamp were not nearly as good. I enjoyed Elysium enough, but it wasn't nearly as good as District 9, and Chappie was nowhere near either of those two movies. I still think he's a very cool director, though, and I'm excited for him to take on another major project someday. I hope it's really good. But for now, District 9's his magnum opus, and I think that's also a really great hill to die on. Guys, thank you very much for watching once again. If you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.